Hello and welcome in, everyone. We're coming to you live, pick and troll, March 18th. Going to be talking round of 64. I am Jordan here with Rex. Rex, how you doing tonight?
It's a great time. We got another shitty opening round or playing game coming up, but yeah, they've been gross so far. So it's been a nice night of hoops finally back.
So we have Drake advancing. Is that the only game that's finished?
Texas Southern as well over Mount St. Mary's.
All right. Yeah, Mount St. Mary's had a real bad second half, from what Twitter tells me.
Yeah, that team was just not built for a long run. And once they finally went up with a team with a decent amount of size, you kind of just saw them crumble.
And then which game is on? We have Michigan State coming up.
Yeah, against UCLA, the public Michigan State all over again. It feels exactly like that Michigan State Terps game from the opening round or from the second round in the Big Ten tourney.
I cannot believe that Michigan State has made a turnaround from where they were the first, month and a half, 2 months, 2.5, almost three
Well, they're
months of the
still
season.
terrible
Yeah,
against the spread.
yeah,
That's just kind of where it lies. It's just that they started winning some games, and then, as my tinfoil hat says, Michigan let them beat them in that one game to help get 9 teams in. But yeah, they're still 9-18 ATS this season. So they're laying 2.5 tonight. Sure, Izzo and March love each other, but I'm not feeling too confident if I'm having a 2.5. Nor am I feeling confident with a plus 2.5 with the Bruins. So it's going to be a gross. It's going to be a stinker, but I'm hyped for it.
Did you play any of these playing games?
No, I didn't want to touch
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I feel like
There's a
it's,
reason they're playing games.
yeah, and I feel like there's a big theme with this season compared to most. Maybe it's 2 years off. I'm not used to looking at the lines. We have a lot of spreads at like 4 to picks,
Yeah,
which is, I just feel like it's a lot more than past seasons. So that's where all these games are tonight. With those, the smart way to bet it, and I found that this season, both teams that ended up winning the first two with Texas Southern and Drake, they came back from down 10. You can just get better live numbers with
yeah.
these 2.5 to 3 spreads sometimes if you get lucky. Some games it doesn't come through, but
Hmm.
live betting seemed like a much better approach tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can kind of talk about some different approaches to how you handicap, hedging futures, stuff like that a little bit later in the stream. So let's go ahead, jump right into it. First thing I want to do is promote our bracket challenge that we are currently running with the breakdown. Down at the bottom of Rex and mine's very handsome faces, you can see we have the scroll there. So if you go on to ESPN, do a search for the breakdown apostrophe S space TC, you'll find our bracket challenge. $100 to the winner, as well as a free t-shirt from our store. You're allowed up to 5 entries, so please go ahead and join that. Currently sitting at about 250 contestants, so great to see the turnout for that, and look forward to handing someone a very large, oversized check in about a month.
Yeah, we can send them a certificate from makecertificates.com as well so they can print that out, hang it up on the fridge. But
Ooh,
nothing better at a free chance at $100 because
yeah,
if you want to have 5 different combos, you want to win some money for all your other buy-ins or $10,
yep.
$25. This could be something that covers your cost for everything else. So you just got to get one of your 5 to come out the winner here.
Yeah, that's what I kind of told my friends and getting them to do it. I'm like, look, if you're in all these 10, 5, 10, $20 brackets, why not throw 5 brackets in to the mix in this one? Maybe mix them up, maybe double down on some things. And who knows, you're able to possibly cover the entry fees for all your other brackets for those people who go crazy and are in like 5, 6, 7, 8 different brackets currently.
Yeah, and when the last thing we just are going to say about it, if you already have it done and you're watching us for the first time, all you literally do have to click join when you get to the breakdowns TC, and you literally just check your brackets. You don't have to refill it. You don't have to do anything else. It's the easiest shit for a free chance at $100.
Yeah, if you happen to be on your computer, it's really easy as well. You can go onto our website, www.thebreakdownsports.com. If you scroll about halfway down our homepage, you'll see there's a button there that'll link you directly to ESPN to join into the competition. So Rex and I are going to go ahead and jump in. Model, we called it quits about a week ago. and by we, I mean Rex. I called it quits like 2 weeks ago. Model finished on all games, so 1,700 data points, 51%. So pretty solid. Happy with those results. And then the multi-point edges, so that's anything 2.5 points or above, 51.5%. So really strong season there. We were not blindly betting this. However, if we were staking, probabilistically, so percentages using those edges as our wager size, then we would have come out plus money. If we were betting every single play flat, we would have ended up down on the year. So that's kind of the way it worked out. Worked out both pretty well for Rex. Not as well for me, but not a bad season at all.
Yeah, with the model, it came to a point where, with how many games were going and all the late ruling out for COVID, it was something that I think I said a lot during the earlier. This is probably the hardest season for the first time to run a full model to see where it's at. Because, for example, how much is Moses Wright worth? This time, we actually had some time to try to put it into the number. Ultimately, in the model, we didn't adjust for him trying to say he's 2.5 points, he's 2 points, he's 3.5. With college basketball, it's a little bit more difficult to put a hard number to it. So that's where, yeah, we're taking some losses because obviously if Moses Wright is out, you saw it jump 2.5 points, but we didn't factor in anything to offset that into our projection.
Yep, absolutely. So before we jump into our picks, are there any other guys like Moses Wright that you kind of want to call out as guys who are going to be missing in this opening round that might play into whether it's people's brackets or picks?
Yeah, you got the Harmer for Oklahoma. He's another guy that's out as well. But with that, you only saw the line drop maybe a point. He is their
Yeah.
second leading scorer in the season. But as of right now, they said there's 8 people that have tested positive in the bubble. But because of
Jalen Wilson.
HIPAA, because of HIPAA, it could be a manager as well. They can't really
Yeah.
release the names. Sometimes you've seen Moses Wright's names got released, but it could be a random coach. It could be a staffer. So that's kind of where, other than Oklahoma's player and the player for Georgia Tech, there hasn't been anything too significant yet.
It's come out that Jalen Wilson has COVID right now.
Yeah, I
for
think that was
Kansas.
a little bit
Before.
beforehand, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, we knew that during the Big 12 tourney because that's what dropped them out of that.
Yeah, I think he's able. I saw on shout out to College Fantasy Update. They said that he will be able to report back on like Monday. So if they make it through the weekend, he will be able to start playing with them again. So he'll clear quarantine. But that's really the only notable things right now. VCU Kashawn Curry still away from the team due to personal reasons. He had a family member pass away like a month ago or so, and he has not been playing. Not a huge contributor to that VCU team, but something to mention. So let's go ahead, jump in. We'll go right into, we'll kind of do this by day. So we'll do our Friday games, and then we'll do our Saturday games. You want to lead us off? You want me to take the first one? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, well, obviously everyone's probably betting this game tomorrow, and this is one of the few times that it actually lands on a pick 'em.
A pick,
So you
yeah.
gotta start there with Florida and Vatech. This one, there's probably, I mean, I'm on Vatech. I know Jordan's joining me as well there. And the pick, it's the first game. You're just legally required to bet that game because you got that stimmy money. You got the $50 free on the Spartans plus whatever 122 if you have a FanDuel account at this point. So you got the free money rolling. We're gonna roll with Tech here. And I'm just never going to be convinced in this Florida team the whole season because if you're telling me that Colin Castleton's going to have to be their second player, like, yeah, no bit confident in that. Trey Mann, yes, he does have the ability to win the game by himself. But past that, this team just hasn't been there when Scotty Lewis does play. It's not the same Scotty Lewis that it's been there. And this Virginia Tech team, I'm backing the better coach here because I tried to stake my part in Florida earlier in the year thinking this could be it. Obviously, the one loss that they had was crucial, so it's tough to recover in the season from that. But I'm just going to take the better coach in Mike Young. And just, yes, I'm going to be relying on the threes a little bit here too much. And Florida does defend decent from the three, but I just think Vatech's going to be able to control this game. And I just, even though Florida may have the size with Castleton, I just think he's cheeks.
I'm there with you. So I'm taking Virginia Tech in this first game, legally required game as well. For me, I don't mind living and dying by the three. I know there are statistics out about teams that rely too heavily on three and how far they can make it in the tournament. Look, this is a round of 64. I'm taking Virginia Tech to advance over Florida. It's at a pick. I have Virginia Tech going down to my Sweet 16. So obviously they have to win this game. Gonna at a pick. Kind of feels like a steal to me. There are some places +1, -1. So shop around, take a look out for that one. But yeah, for all the reasons that Rex said, and I am a big Mike Young fan. Liked him his previous stint. Wofford, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was shaking my head. My bad.
Sorry. Yeah, I do not have it up currently. So yeah, I like him. I like that what he does. I think that this team is more talented. Florida's been so up and down this year, from very early in the season when they had the player go down on the court, all the way right through to the finish. So I'm going to ride with Virginia Tech here. Saw you play it, realized I had them in all my brackets, and realized that I was indeed required to pick this game. So
Yeah, and the two biggest factors that probably top the cake for me is Florida loves to turn it over on offense, and they do not clean the defensive boards well.
mhm.
So that's where last thing, if you ever want to just get into his free throws, I mean that's kind of where Virginia Tech they're reliable from the line. So if I'm going to get to go against a team in the pick that's more likely to turn over the ball because Vatek loves to take it, and they're not going to clean the boards. I don't know what happened during conference tourney because I was maybe playing the dogs, but I just felt like I went on a day's run where my team was just giving up every second chance points and just turning the ball over a lot. And I
You're
think
not
in
letting
March,
that happen.
well, in March, I was like overlooking that, saying, yeah, that's a concern, but
Yeah.
this will be the game that does it. No, each team has 23 to 25 data points now. They are who we thought they are, and if they're gonna do those two things, then that's where in a pick with Vatek, like here,
Yeah.
I think you could easily get a +3 live, but got to get some wager down before the game, as we said, legally required to bet it.
Florida does cough up the ball a lot. So not only is Virginia Tech cleaning the glass on the offense and defensive side of the ball, they're going to have the opportunity to get the ball in the half court pretty easily. I like them. And let's jump on to our next game. Who do you got?
All right, in my next one, I got my route game. So I was debating between two games.
Okay.
One could potentially still come up for my route, and not that I hate laying the large points, but I haven't laid a -20 this whole season, and it was either -20 with Houston or -22 with the Illini were the two I was looking at,
Okay.
and I ultimately landed on Houston, even though the Illini are a buzzsaw. I jumped in front of them when they played Iowa. That was just stupid. So I'm not going to do that again because I love Iowa. But this Cleveland State team, sorry, Tommy, in the break room, Sam called me two-faced when he saw this bet. I don't know what Sam's talking about because I got to hype Tommy up with his Vikes because as the alumni, you can't tell his team he's going to lose by 20. So hopefully Tommy's not listening right now, probably playing a game on Twitch. So that's where I'm laying the -20 here. Houston might be the least respected high seed in the tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people are giving them the credit they are due. Yes, the American was a terrible conference this year. No questions asked. But this Cleveland State team was the number one team that made the tournament ranked in luck by KenPom. We saw on the horizon, they didn't really blow anybody out or run through that conference. They did get the one, and they were one of the few one seeds that did win their tourney, so they did take care of business when it's due. But when this team goes up against the big boys, they just as long as Houston just doesn't commit a bunch of stupid fouls and keep Cleveland State in this game, they'll win by 20 just because Cleveland cannot shoot the three. They defend the three a little bit all right, but they rely on twos for their offense, and Houston's inside is just where it's going to take it over. And Cleveland State is 304th ranked on the for cleaning defensive glass, and Houston's the second best team in on the offensive rebounds. I just think Houston's going to do whatever they want this entire game, and it is what it is. I'm getting in there with my -20. Sam Murphy hitting us up. Any first half play for either Houston or the Illini, I would obviously do it on Houston Just
Yeah.
because if I like the full game spread and they don't cover that first half and you don't play the full game, you get the better number. But if they do end up romping them, it could come back. But yeah, I would lay the first half there in either of them. I might get on the Illini later on, but as of right now, the 22 is just a little too much. And gotta shout out Chuck. He's been joining for the past 4 streams from Facebook. He's made some 2 solid calls. He did call the Beavers to win the Pac-12 on our stream, and I thought he was a little crazy, but that was a nice call by him. Any thoughts on the Cougars versus your Vikes? Because I know you were a Cleveland State backer a decent amount.
I think I had them going all the way to my finals in our Horizon preview. I didn't have them winning it, but here we are. I think that Cleveland State can only get lucky so often. You can only be that bad from the free throw stripe and continue to win so many times. And when you're going against a team that is far superior in talent, moves the ball up the court, is able to hit threes, cleans the glass, I think that eventually you got to pay. They're going to lose. I mean, I think this is absolutely a route. I really like the angle of a first half play. First half and a Cleveland State like first half under. I would like. Laying 20 with Houston. This is a big one, but I think if there's a route we see tomorrow, this is it.
Yeah, that's my biggest spread that I have. The rest I've kind of taken the dogs or laid short points there. Glad Chucks agrees that Houston rolls. Tommy will be a little sad, but he'll have his Buckeyes to fall back on. What's your second play? What you got up tomorrow?
Second play. I think this is an early game. I should probably try and look to see which of my games is next. If we're going to try and go in some semblance of an order. Yep, it's next. You're going to like this one. Mountain West Rex. I'm right with Utah State.
This is the toughest game. This is the toughest game on the board for me.
I went back and forth. I love Chris Beard. I love the defense that they've played historically under him. They did very well this year. Obviously, they have run through a gauntlet of challenges playing in the Big 12. But I took Utah State +4, -105, and then a little bit on the money line at +160. If there's a 6-11 upsets, we talk often 6-11, 5-12, 7-10s. If there's a 6-11 upset tomorrow, this is the one I like. I'm taking Utah State. They have some really talented players able to move the ball as they would like. I think that because they play at a little bit of a quicker tempo than Texas Tech does, that could present some challenges there. And Texas Tech has a real bad problem with fouling. And Utah State, not elite from the free throw stripe. I think they're somewhere around 70%. So nothing to write home about. We're not going to be writing any books about their elite free throw shooting. But at the same time, they're not going to miss the shots. If they're sitting closer to 60%, I don't put any sort of weight on that. But knowing that Utah State does not foul, with Texas Tech fouls, Utah State can make those shots. And otherwise, they're fairly even matched. I'll take the 4 points here with Utah State.
Yeah, so Chuck likes that play as well. This is the one that twisted me the most. Maybe it's because I was on Utah State against San Diego State in the Mountain West Finals.
Yep.
And yeah, they kind of had dead legs at that point. Their defense is elite. If they try to go into the inside, we saw him get 9 blocks against Colorado State. So Keita really don't have anyone with a pure 7-foot size that they can put in there to stop them. But the thing that's keeping me off this one is something that you said is Chris Beard's a great coach. When he has this 4 or 5 days to plan for Keita and kind of plan for Bean, because if you make anyone else on that Utah State team try to beat you, that's kind of where Texas Tech is going to let Brock Miller or Marco Anthony be the game changers and do it. Just don't let Keita get his double-double. Don't let Bean get a little bit hot from not range, but mid-range. And that's just where I think the points is the way to go there. I wouldn't be confident laying the -4.5 with Tech, but that's just where we said they foul to the eternity in conference tourney in March. That's the only thing with the 4.5. That seems to always be a key number around in the fouling situation.
What's your next one?
All right. Am I staying in the Mountain West? No, I think I.
No,
This
you're
is
going.
the last. Yeah, this was the last play that I added on the board before hopping on with the stream. Definitely could be locking more in here before there, but I do have to pick every game in that tournament I'm on. I'm saving that for my troll tolls. This is a team where Tennessee, if I think they play better without Fulkerson, and that's wild to say because he was one of the players I was very high on in the preseason because I liked his game. I don't want to compare him to Dirk whatsoever, but he kind of has that nice little fadeaway jump shot that's impossible to cover. Obviously, you saw the UFC hit that he took to that face. I don't know if he's going to be playing, but this is why it's great that they have Springer and they got to transfer Bailey in there because they're going to need. It's hard. It's crazy to say this. They're going to need them to roll with Oregon State. When I saw the Mush Network put out a play that the regression monster is due for Oregon State, that almost just locked it in for me because when you're going to call something regression monster article, that's just they're just trying to get clicks there. Yes, this Oregon State team wouldn't be in the tournament unless they won the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Yes, they're a little bit hot as of right now, and Jarrett Lucas and Thompson's there. Even with Tinkle being gone, I thought that was really going to affect them more, and it kind of did. But Tennessee isn't going to blow out a team.
No.
They've
With how slow they play.
And especially where I'm getting close to double digits, I'm getting a +9 here. That's where I'm just going to take the Beavers, just going to take the points. I do think Tennessee does win this one, but I'm just solely taking the double digit or close to double digit points. I don't think Tennessee can pull it out. If you look at the stats wise, I mean, how's Oregon State going to score just because Tennessee's defense is pretty hot? But if you go and look in Haslett metrics, consistency factors, Tennessee ranks like 275. So that's just kind of where they had their last good game against Alabama. That was their high variance game. So I'm hoping for that they come crashing back down. Less consistent game here. And Oregon State, they play slower than Tennessee as well. So that's kind of where in a
low scoring game,
we'll see maybe 60 possessions, 62 possessions. Give me that +9.
Yeah, I mean, getting close to double digits with, two teams sitting in the bottom third, definitively Oregon State really slow in terms of tempo. You're probably looking at, what's the total on this? Low 130s. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, I was about to say I have the model up, but I didn't.
I got it.
I don't have any
131. 131. So yeah, when you have the ability to take 9 points in a 131 total with two very slow teams. It's not like Tennessee has really done anything to, like you said, they're not consistent. In quad one against quad one opponents, both teams are 500. Tennessee's 6-6. Oregon State's 5-5. They both play against quad two teams in similar aspects. They're pretty evenly matched, and I don't see Tennessee going out there blowing them out by double digits. While an upset is a bit more of a bold take, I think +9 here is a pretty safe bet. I would not be laying 9, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this one. This is the season where, especially in my bracket off the hip, we're going to see a lot of double-digit teams advancing out of the first round. Yeah, I was surprised to see this one all the way at 9, and there hasn't been any this spread opened at 8.5, and it's kind of chilled at 8.5 and 9 the whole time. I'm very surprised. It's been one of the least moved one, but I don't think anyone's rushing to bet either of these two teams. And I can't believe your next play you bet on this game because I wanted to so bad, but it's probably the biggest rock fight of every game.
I'm changing my order. I don't know if you.
You're changing the order, so you're not getting to the rock fight next.
No, I've got a 2 versus 15 seed here. I am taking Oral Roberts +16. It sounds kind of stupid even saying it. Oral Roberts +16, -105. I mean, you have one of the highest scoring players, highest usage players in the nation, with Max Abrams playing phenomenally well. You have a Ohio State team that is not going to be looking to just absolutely blow a team out. Oral Roberts plays so fast. They shoot so many fucking threes. They shoot 45% of their shots from 3, and they hit almost a 40% clip, if they're able to stay somewhere around that season average, it's going to be really hard to put them away by 20 plus points. They don't rebound well, so Ohio State's going to have a lot of second chance points. But I just think that with Oral Roberts' ability to hit a three, they can keep this inside of 20. 20, I don't see that far off from 16. So Oral Roberts plus 16.
Yeah, Oral Roberts definitely has a good grace in my mind because that Summit tourney was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And this is where I was looking at the over, but it's sitting at like 156.5 right here. And yeah, you're going to have the threes. Oral Roberts' defense is pretty terrible. Ohio
bad.
State is definitely their weaker point. Neither team turns the other one over, so you're going to get a shot attempt on most of them. As long as it's Kyle Young. If he plays, that's kind of where I'm going to be a little bit more concerned having an Oral Roberts ticket. But still, when you're getting plus 16, you're getting that many points. The back door is always in question unless they're up 30.
I mean, yeah, exactly. They get, it's down to 5 minutes left in the second half and they're losing by 20. They're just going to, the team already shoots a ton of threes. They're just going to shoot even more. And at that pace, when then Ohio State's just trying to slow the ball down and close the game out, they're not going to be worried about going back and forth. They're just going to burn down the clock, hold on to it as long as possible. And like you said, backdoor is always a possibility with a spread that big.
All right, we had Chuck hitting up the comments pretty hard right here, so we'll take them real quick. I don't think there's going to be any effect of the West Coast teams traveling to the Midwest here because it's like 1 or 2 time zone changes and they're stuck in the hotel rooms. So I think they've had more times to adjust where they're not coming in the day or two before they've been there. They're quarantining. I think it's going to be the adjustment from practicing in ballrooms or in like makeshift gyms into going into Mackey and going into the other courts here. His upset is Ohio over Virginia. I know that's a game that Jordan was, me and him were chatting about. I like that as well. I just think that's I think that's the trendiest underdog of them all because I've seen ESPN, I've seen other networks. I think every single person and their mother at this point has an Ohio ticket.
The Mush Network, I believe you called them earlier.
Yeah, that was off the rip. That was pretty good. I'm patting myself on the back for that one. All right, so back into the games. This is the first play that I locked in of the tourney. So obviously I've had a lot of time to sit there and look at it. Haven't felt that much more confident about it just because I was hoping we'd see a little bit of a line change here. We haven't gotten it so far. And I just think that's because Syracuse money usually always comes in and Malleus Rex is back in San Diego State here. They have a top 10 defense, a top 30 offense, and Syracuse's defense. I'm betting on a zone versus zone game, so it's going to be real fun for my mental state in this one because those games are always just not high variance, but zone versus zone, you're not going to get much because Syracuse does like to move it quick while playing the zone, while San Diego State doesn't. And the one thing that I do see with San Diego State, they key in on that one player, and they're not going to let Buddy beat them. And that's where next up for them would be Girard, and I'm just not that concerned with Girard's ability. Dolezaj, sure, he does clean the boards a little bit, but he's not a threat on the inside, and that's kind of where when you get to San Diego State, I think you need to have a nice threat on the inside. They're fine with playing with teams that are going to chuck up threes and rely on the threes, and that's what Colorado State does. That's what Nevada does. Boise doesn't do it nearly as much, but they kind of do. Utah State does play different, but I really believe that fading ACC teams is going to be a profitable angle in this tournament, like almost as a whole. There's a few matchups that I wouldn't, but I have a play going against one. But here, I think San Diego State is a perfect 6 seed to lay the -2.5, lay the -3. And they'll come out here. Shackle and Mitchell are going to get theirs. They had a cool moment where they brought all the people who left the season last year due to them being seniors, not getting eligibility onto the court. This team just seems like to be in the right mind state. I like them to make a decent run in this tourney here. So I'm going to lay the 2.5.
Yep. I'm on this one as well. So you talked about it with Syracuse, just where San Diego State allowing teams to jack up the three, and they have no concern of that. And it's because they have one of the top 50 defensive rebounding teams. When they're able to prevent Syracuse from scoring all those second chance points, knowing that these two teams like to play the bit of a slower tempo, they like to play that zone. Just more reasons to like San Diego State here. I think you did a good job of breaking it down, so I won't need to drag this on anymore. San Diego State, we're both on it, -2.5.
Let's go Aztecs.
Now we have the rock fight. Yes, it is rock fight time. Clemson Rutgers. I have Clemson +2, half unit, money line +110 for a half unit, so risking a unit in total. These two teams are so similarly matched. Just getting a bucket, I like that. I like what Clemson up and down season from them, both there in terms of their defense. That's really where this game is going to hinge on. Is you have two very talented defenses, and sometimes Clemson shows up and they have one of the 5 best defenses in the nation, and sometimes they show up and they have the 100th best defense in the nation. In my case, I'm really hoping for that game where they are one of the top defenses. So taking Clemson +2 here. I like how they are able to force turnovers. This is against a team that doesn't like to turn over the ball. So just giving them that extra pressure, make Rutgers get uneasy. Rutgers likes to shoot from 2 a lot, which is an area where Clemson's comfortable. Clemson isn't great at defending the 3. So going against a team like Rutgers that tends to play a little bit more inside, I like that there. They're evenly matched on the boards. Like you said, this is a rock fight. I liked Clemson all year. I'm going to stick with that here and taking Clemson +2.
I hope Goose isn't watching for this
I know.
one. Unless Rutgers win by 1. That's the best scenario for the both of you there. This is a tough one because Rutgers and Clemson at different points of the season, they both looked like top 15 teams. Other times throughout the season, they looked like they didn't belong in the tourney. This is where is Ron Harper Jr. going to remember how to be a top 10 player in college basketball, or is it going to be not the Ron Harper Jr. as of late, but that team's just missing him as a spark plug because he gets Miles Johnson going better than anyone else can on that team. And this is one where I really want to try to pick a side here. I could say I was probably honestly leaning Rutgers more just because I think they've looked a little bit cleaner as of late because that Clemson loss to Miami just was an extremely sour taste in my mouth. But that's kind of almost the best time to back one of those teams when you get that bad loss out of your way. Both of these teams are playing slow. I just saw myself watching this game and it having probably 16 to different 18 lead changes throughout it. I was like, I'll just enjoy this one and not cause myself the mental headache because I think just with my Syracuse San Diego State one, I'm going to be pulling my hair out there.
Yeah, and this is, those are 2 late games too. So tomorrow night we're both going to be.
Oh, I got another one at this time too.
Do you?
I got the 9:57 start with my next one.
All right. I'll let you take that away.
All right. I hate calling it my favorite play of the weekend, but on the Selection Sunday show for the break room, I called this one out right then and there. There is one thing, though, that would 100% get me to buy out of this ticket. If Villanova just says, we're going to play Chris Arcidiacono 0.0 minutes. If they say that, or if he's not in their starting lineup, or if he just doesn't touch the ball once, then I might buy off of that Winthrop ticket. Because, yes, Villanova's offense, we've seen their runs. It's their point guard. It's their point guard. It's their point guard. He'll go. He'll post you up, down in the post, blah, blah, blah. You hear how he runs their offense. It's old school. He doesn't like someone that gets up and down the court. They want to do their sets. I mean, I've played against Ryan Arch my entire life. I know Chris Arch just from that, and he just is. I called someone else Cheeks earlier. He's worse than that because this Winthrop team, they're getting so much hate for playing in the Big South. Like, sure, they played in the Big South. They went 23-1.
Yeah.
They spanked everyone that they were supposed to. They beat UNCG. Sure, that was early in the season, and then they stuck in the conference except for Furman, which they took down as well. This team lost once where hey, it's this year, and you're giving me Vrowden, and you're giving me the rest of this roster with even Fowden too, and you're giving me plus 6.5 against a Villanova team where, yes, Jay Wright is the better coach here with the amount of days that he has to try to figure out what the hell to do at his point guard position. Hopefully, he realized what I realized, and it's just you can't play who you currently have there. Have James Robinson Earl, have Moore take up the ball. That's my only concern is Vrowden's going up against talent that he hasn't seen this year with JRE. And that's my only concern is if they just make Vrowden become a shell of himself, then this 6.5 might not look great. But Winthrop, they play the 10th fastest pace. Villanova, they play at 312th. So they play extremely slow. And Winthrop, they're just going to key in on that guard play. This is where they can win it. And this is what I think is a 6.5. It's my favorite play. I will probably end up sprinkling on the money line, but I think I can get a nicer number live during that to get the money line locked in. But I'm definitely taking that 6.5 pregame full unit on that.
Would you have taken any team matched against Villanova?
No. Well, almost, because if they're going to start Chris Arch at point guard, then yeah, I'm fading the hell out of that team because I mean, that Georgetown call was just exactly what they did to it. And if Georgetown can do it, I have confidence that Winthrop can.
So you're not a Chris Arch fan, is what I'm getting out of this.
0.0%. He's not good at basketball. He's on the team because of his last name.
How many minutes is he even getting?
He didn't play a single minute that was meaningful until Moore and Gillespie went down.
When they went down, okay.
Yeah, he literally was the ultimate bench warmer his entire career. I think he's a senior now too, so he's literally got no time. He's just there because of that last name.
I love it. I mean, with such varying degrees of tempo here, with one of the fastest teams in the nation going against one of the slowest teams in the nation, a team that is so slow, shoots a ton of threes, can't hit them. I like that Winthrop play. Plus 6.5, a little rich for my blood, but I know. Do you have Winthrop advancing over Villanova in your brackets? Yeah.
Yes.
Would you have picked that regardless?
Like, if you're gonna the other 11 seeds, like I probably would have. Or no, this is the 5 versus the 12. So I wouldn't say every other 12 seed, but majority, like Michigan State for UCLA, I would probably have taken one of them over it. So almost that Beavers would have taken them over it. So yeah, I almost would have said I have taken any 12 over them. But if you give them like Grand Canyon or something like that, probably not. Why do I have to wear your Nova shirt, Chuck? I'm from the Philly area. I went to St. Joe's. It's going to be very hard to get me to put on a gross Nova shirt.
Gross Nova shirt.
Maybe if I go painting my apartment, I'll wear
it. All right, so that's it for Friday. Let's real quick go ahead and recap what we have for our picks for Friday. I'll run through mine, hand it over to you, then we'll jump into Saturday plays. Then we can talk a little bit Sweet 16, take any questions from our very active viewers tonight. My 5 plays, legally obligated. Virginia Tech pick, minus 110 for a unit. Utah State +4, minus 105. 3/4 of a unit there with a quarter unit on the money line, plus 160. I have Oral Roberts +16, so really just hoping and praying on a backdoor cover there. Clemson +2, minus 110, half unit. Money line, half unit, plus 110. And then San Diego State -2.5, minus 110. What do you got?
All right. So for my Friday plays, Virginia Tech pick, Houston -20, Beavers +9, Aztecs -2.5, and then Winthrop +6.5.
All right. So I'll go ahead. I'll take it over beginning on Saturday with my first play here. Really late game. I think both my games are pretty late. Quickly pull that up. No, I have an early game. I'll do the early game first. So first game that I am going to take here, I have Eastern Washington +10.5, minus 110. Taking them over Kansas. Kansas has 2 players sitting out due to COVID precautions. One who's actually worth something, Jalen Wilson. They will have David McCormick back, so that is something to know if you are going to try and get in front of Kansas here. I just really like Eastern Washington. I know they are coming out of the Big Sky and are going to get a lot of shit for playing in a weak conference, but this is a team that plays really fast. They shoot 3 wells, defend the 3 well. They get a lot of second chance points because they do fairly well. No, they don't. Never mind. I was looking at the wrong column. They do not turn over the ball. So that's going to be play important when you are going against a team that is much more talented than you are. And yes, Kansas is more talented than Eastern Washington. Don't think I'm breaking any ground there. But I like that getting double digits here. I don't think Kansas will be in a rush to blow them out. They are missing one of the most important players on their team with Jalen Wilson. And just knowing that Eastern Washington will always have the ability to hit threes. They hit them at volume, shooting 40% of their shots from 3 and hitting them at a 36% clip. So getting the 10.5 points here with the Eastern Washington. Small play, only a half unit on this one because there's another Saturday game that I am looking out at.
Yeah, you're become the biggest Tanner Groves fan.
I know.
The man just shoots it, and
That's all he
very
does.
efficiently as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't like to pass that much, which he doesn't have to. That's Tyler Robertson's job there. And he does clean the boards pretty well being that big guy. So that's kind of where them getting McCormick back, I guess that helps them, even though if I'm them, I know Garrett's losing 4 inches and Groves might just go into the inside then, but I just don't want Groves to dribble the ball at all. So that's kind of where I'd almost put Garrett on him just so that he doesn't have the ability to get anything off the dribble, because I think Garrett will take his cookies there every time. Yeah. Eastern Washington, the team, you're just relying on a team that's been efficient. They played Wazoo early in the year, which is a terrible comp just because Wazoo ended up being terrible, but they hung tough with Arizona, and then the Oregon game was rough, but that's all the way so far away. They ate up that Big Sky. So that's kind of where this team's been rolling, one of the hottest teams going into March. Tanner Groves, it's going to be a fun time watching him. Just hope he stays hot.
Yeah, exactly. You're really just hoping that a team that has played so efficiently can continue to play at that same clip. Obviously, I'm not expecting them to go lights out here. I'm not predicting an upset with this one, but I do like Eastern Washington. I like them to keep it close, keep it within like a 5-point game.
What do you think about saying that, like, not with the power conferences, like with the Big East and the ACC kind of being pretty awful this year? I hate when people use the comparison that they haven't played anyone the whole year. They're in the Big Sky. They're in the Big South. Like, sure, they may have not played anyone that year, but I don't think that's a reason to make you feel ultimate confident in a pick. I think that just shows that you really haven't been watching or grinding it through, because, yeah, we've seen like Grand Canyon. They probably deserve no shot with the Iowa game, but it would not shock me if they can pull it out, because all these teams, I mean, especially this year, I don't think there's as big of a variance as everyone's saying, other than Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, you have someone like big man on campus who's now like slightly average sized man on campus. He thinks they're going to go all the way to Sweet 16, Grand Canyon. I mean, I do have Eastern Washington advancing over Kansas here in one of my brackets, but just because Kansas is, do you happen to, were they one of the teams that's like inconsistent on Haslametrics? I know you look at that way more frequently than I do.
I don't have the Big 12 off my rip, because that's not one of the ones I did the preview for.
You just worry about the Mountain West and nothing else. I just feel like this is a team that's so back and forth. They can blow teams out, and in the same vein, can lose to teams that they certainly should be beating. They didn't have any terrible losses this year against teams. The worst team that they lost to is Oklahoma State. So I'm not saying with much confidence, put the house here on Eastern Washington. But I do have Chuck Thomas on my side saying
243rd consistency. So yeah, they rank up there with Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're getting double digits here against a team that is riding a very hot hand, they're riding very hot shooting, not expecting them to make it to the Final Four, but uh, keeping this inside of a touchdown, I do like.
All right. Their football team might do it as well. So would keep it within a touchdown.
Yeah, against Kansas. Do they even have a coach right now?
No. So let's just go into this is a team that I got into big time on the break room on the Selection Sunday show. And I'm so happy I got my +3 with the Terps because UConn fans, you haven't won the national championship yet. You made the tournament. Congrats. You're back in the Big East. This team has beaten nobody all
Literally no one.
season. You beat USC. That's your best win, and that aged more than anything else. Your next best win after that is Georgetown because they barely made the conference. After that, you didn't beat anybody who is dancing. You didn't beat a single person. Your next best win over that is Xavier or Seton Hall. Like, congrats for that. And this is where you're laying -3. Yes, this offense has looked different. It's past 5 games when Bouknight's finally healthy again. And I'm not going to rely on him being nicked up. He looks great. I love watching him play offense, but his legs just fall out of him in the second half every single game. So maybe taking the Terps second half line may be better than getting him pregame, but I hate saying Maryland played in the Big Ten, but they've played multiple teams who are better than UConn
Yeah,
this year, hung tough with each one of them, and probably beat more often than
beating
not.
some.
So this
Absolutely.
is where I can't rely on the Terps to get second chance points. I can rely on them not to foul, and UConn's going to foul the shit out of Maryland because that's what they did to Michigan State. They could get some. I'm not relying on a good ref play here, but I don't think UConn's ever been in the bag with the refs. Both of these teams move at snail paces, and Maryland doesn't rely on the 3, which I'm fine with UConn. This UConn team, they put up, I think it was 50 in their loss against Creighton. And that's just where if UConn puts up 90, I'm not feeling confident in this ticket. Maryland lost to Northwestern and Penn State before beating Michigan State and looking kind of dead against Michigan after starting off hot. But I just think I'm taking the better team here, even though they are ranked lower than UConn. I just think that UConn team hasn't impressed me whatsoever. And I just like Maryland to keep it close, probably win out right here.
Yeah, I actually do like them to win outright. They've played 10 more games than UConn played. UConn, obviously, we talked about it on pick and roll throughout the season. Not very disciplined when it came to the ability to stay away from the coronavirus. So they missed out on a lot of opportunities to get more time together. And a team that fouls in the manner that they do, going against a team like Maryland. Maryland's not great from the free throw stripe, 70% team on the season. That causes concern if I were to be a UConn supporter. And with how slow this game's going to go, if you're just hacking the shit out of the other team and you're continuing to play at a slow tempo, take the points. Maryland here, like you said, and UConn has had times when they've gone long droughts without being able to score, and that's where Maryland's defensive rebound certainly will come in handy there. They'll be able to be getting fouled on almost 40% of their possessions. That's
yeah.
I just had to look at that. I was like, is that right? Yep. Make sure I wasn't reading their 2% shooting. Yeah, they're fouling on Connecticut's fouling on 40% of their defensive possessions. That's weak look.
They got the athleticism to match up with Book as well.
Yeah,
So that's where
absolutely.
more sell on him. I think that's a great matchup. RJ Cole, he's probably going to play, which doesn't make me feel confident. But yeah, I think this is going to go very similar to how the Michigan State, Penn State, or the Michigan State, Maryland game went for this UConn Maryland game. I think UConn gets up early, then they go on the drought. The better defense just wins out right here.
Yep. I'm there with you. And then I'll jump into my last play that I have. So my final play for tomorrow, which I accidentally put 2 units on, is VCU, taking the Commonwealth, Virginia Commonwealth here, taking them +5 even. against Oregon. Oregon, another very inconsistent team. I like the way that Mike Rhodes coaches his defense for VCU. They're going to be able to hold them down. They defend the three well, which is how Oregon scores. Oregon scores the majority of their points from the 3-point. They are shooting over 35% of their shots from there, and going against one of the top defensive 3-point perimeter units. And Oregon plays super slow. So I like VCU with that Havoc style defense that they are still running in memoriam of Shaka Smart to be able to hold them down. Their offense isn't going to light anything up. They have shown the ability to score with Bones Highland, but they're going against a Oregon team that's just inside the top 100s in defense. So it's not like they're going against an elite defense here. Getting 5 points with VCU is something that I really like. So much so, I bet it twice.
Yeah, that that line's fishy because when you look at all the projection sites, they have this at a 3-point game.
Mm-hmm.
So what's putting this to 5? Bones, he looks fine. He looks fully healthy. He has that full week off. Is Oregon and just Dana Altman or the Pac-12 just getting that much respect to push it up that 2 extra points? Went back and looked it up. Altman's one of the more profitable coaches to back ATS in the tourney. I think he's hovering like 18-9, but not many of them he's laying 5 points, especially as a 7 seed against a 10 seed here. So that's kind of where you look at the trends, you think about it, you get in a rabbit hole, but then you throw it out quick here. This is a game that I want 100% of watching and 0.0% of betting, just because I think this is another one that has 10 plus lead changes, because I mean, you are getting the 2 teams that press the most matched up against each other in here. And then in Florida State, UNCG, that's the second. The other 2, the top 4 teams that press each other all drew each other in the first round. So if you just want to watch some up and down basketball, not many half court sets, this is definitely going to be the one to get you there. And I guess, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be laying 5 with Oregon, definitely, because that VCU +5, you definitely have a nice way to get a +3 in Oregon, and then I think you're sitting pretty live.
I like it. So I know you have the Sweet 16 bet that you would like to talk about, but I just want to open up to any of the viewers. If you have questions on any of these opening round games, our thoughts on any particular team or matchup or anything like that, please chime into the comments. Everyone's been pretty interactive throughout the stream, so we appreciate it. We enjoy the feedback. We'll throw your comment up on the screen, be able to give you a quick breakdown of whatever it is that you're looking for.
Yeah, we only got, I think we got one confirmed one where Chuck was saying that he had Ohio over UVA. I know he typed in other ones, but that seemed to be his one lock. Of course, Joey B wants us to talk to the alma mater, or not his alma mater, his team here with UNC Whiskey. Another game where I want everything of watching and nothing to betting, because I think Wisconsin pulls this one off. Any bit of confidence in this one? No, because Roy's never lost in the first round. So if you're someone that just wants to take that, there's your justification to pull it through. Better coach, better talent, almost everything there. I just think Wisconsin is going to run the system of the experience that UNC doesn't really have. And Whiskey, you're just going to have to stomach a 4-point stretch where timeout to timeout, they don't hit a single bucket. And I just think Wisconsin just plays a different game, that if they are the ones who determine the style of play, UNC is just going to want nothing with it. But UNC has the more talented players, the more athletic players, where they will have the easier time establishing the flow of play and get there. Because if UNC gets up, I don't like Whiskey's ability to come back. So that's where I think Whiskey's going to have to set the tempo from early, never get down below 10 to 8. I would even have a little bit nervous because we haven't seen this team come back with performances like that.
Yeah, and in tournament games, I don't want to necessarily say there's a public side or they're really shading a line towards the public, but this is one that stuck out to me as kind of a head scratcher. Our model projection is essentially a pick. It's North Carolina plus a half point. So has Wisconsin as a slight favorite, but here we are sitting the night before the game, and UNC is a 1.5 point favorite. This is a game that I literally want nothing to do with. I think it's going to be a real slow, low scoring game. And I had no confidence. I looked at this, even looking at it in my bracket, trying to figure out which of these two teams I wanted to advance. I think in each bracket, I kind of just first I went Wisconsin, then I went UNC, then I went Wisconsin, then I went USC, kind of just back and forth. I think these are two teams that the way that they're going to attack each other is going to be dictated a lot by the coaching. And like you said, with Wisconsin, if they are able to determine the tempo and how the game is going to be played, UNC is not going to be like that. But we know the same holds true on the other side. If UNC is able to secure every offensive rebound under the sun, continue those possessions, be able to score inside the paint, then that's not something that Wisconsin will like either.
Well, if I'm Baylor in this scenario, I don't want to see Wisconsin.
No.
That's kind of where.
Yeah.
That's kind of where if you like whiskey in this one, this is kind of where you have to be a real wild man. But I thought about it. You kind of take them to make the Sweet 16.
Because you have them getting through in the next round.
Yeah, that's kind of where rather than getting the plus 1.5, you sweat it out because I think that's a much better number than you'll get money line straight up versus Baylor. If Baylor does get UNC, I think that's the end of UNC season if they do get a win.
I wonder if because they're an 8 seed, that one's not out. I was going to see if we would be able to find a Wisconsin to make Sweet 16. I only really had it for the top 4 seeds in each region. I didn't have it all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where I just don't have that much confidence going against Roy, to what Chuck alluded to there, shouting me back out. But yeah, no more comments as of right now. If you drop another one while I talk about Sweet 16 bets, I was looking at a bunch of different ones because what I do is you get the money line of your team, then you get the money line of the next game that you project that they're going to play. Then you do it the reverse side of the other one. And then if you parlay those two together, because you could do an open parlay, and if these odds are still better, then it is what it is. So here, sure, maybe I am taking a little bit more of a chance because if Purdue does end up drawing Nova, the plus 116 I still think is going to be right. It's going to be right around the number. But since I do think Winthrop comes through, if I get the Purdue to make the Sweet 16 at plus 116, that one gives me a great chance to potentially play a Winthrop side and double my money there. But with Purdue, I think they get through their first round matchup with North Texas. Sure, that's not going to be the easiest cakewalk, but I'm fine with them. I don't want to lay any points there. I don't want to be taking any points. That one's kind of I just like what Purdue's doing, especially they're not going to be playing on their home court, but just being in that area, being in those gyms, if they do draw Winthrop, and I'm getting a plus 116 at them to win their 2 games, I just like their combination of Trevion Williams, Big Maple coming in for when he gets out, and Jaden Ivey was someone who is a freshman, so I hate relying on freshman guards, but I do have Stefanovic there to back him up with the seniority. Ivey's mom's, I believe, a college basketball coach, and he's just a straight-up baller. He's someone that can get to the net. He hit one of their big buzzer beaters during the season. Purdue to make it to the Sweet 16 at plus 116 just seems like a little too much to be at the plus money, because when you're going through other teams, you're getting a lot at minus like 125, minus 130. So it's strange to see Purdue at plus 116, especially worst case scenario, they get Nova, and that might be a 401k bet, Jordan. Just call up my company like, yep, sorry, you're going to just see a huge withdrawal. I'm going to have to pay like half of the money to just get it right and then and there, but it'll all go back real quick after. So that's where I just like Purdue at plus 116 to make the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the way you are betting it as a Sweet 16 bet certainly makes sense, and doing it where you see Winthrop beating Villanova. If you see Villanova beating Winthrop, but you like Purdue to advance, probably don't take that plus 116. Like if your path is Villanova beats Winthrop and then they face off against Purdue, you're going to have a better chance of taking Purdue money line, round one open end parlay to then take Purdue in the second game. But for Rex's case, because he has Winthrop advancing, Purdue would be what, 7, 8, 9 point favorite over Winthrop.
Yeah, it could reach
Yeah.
double digits.
I mean, at that point, you're maybe looking, if you did an open-ended parlay and you get stuck then playing Purdue money line against Winthrop, you're maybe looking at like a minus 225 parlay through 2 rounds. So no, I think that's kind of like what I want to get into is
Yep.
when you look at these Sweet 16, and like you basically explained, break down the money lines of the team you are playing, the other team that they are going to be playing against, do the math to figure out whether it makes sense to take a team at around, a plus 10, plus 120, plus 150 to make the Sweet 16 or not. You can also do it the other way. If you think that there's going to be a team that is going to be upset in either round one or round two, maybe perhaps you have Gonzaga losing against OU. I heard that on a very, very popular podcast called The Break Room, where one of the hosts talked about Gonzaga losing to one of the OUs, didn't matter which. That is one where if you take Gonzaga to not make the Sweet 16, that's got to be a really fat number on that one.
Yeah, I don't feel as confident in that one with Harmer out now. That one didn't. But I hate giving away, especially because all of you guys are competing against us in our bracket challenge.
Yeah, too much.
I love finding the 1 seed and taking them out in the second round because everyone has Gonzaga going to Elite Eight minimum. So
Yeah.
it's just the potential of free points.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not going to be your confident one because my mom called me today and we were talking on the phone because she's in my personal bracket challenge. And she goes, "Guess who I have in my finals?" I go, "I bet you have Gonzaga versus Illinois, don't you?" And she goes, "Yep." And I was just like, I feel like that's going to be at least 50% of the submissions is going to have those two teams. So if
absolutely.
you really want to win it this year, just don't pick one of those two to make it in your finals. Take them out as early as you want. It's not going to be a fun time. That's the only thing I can say rooting against there.
Yeah, I was every year around this time, I start getting the text from my sister, help her build her brackets. So this time comes around, obviously she joins into the breakdown challenge. She throws in 5 entries with 5 different winners. Brilliant, love it. But she's also in another one. So she then sends me all the screenshots, and the first screenshot she sent me, I was like, Brady, you have like 4 1 seeds going against each other into the Final Four. I'm like, come on, you have to mix it up. And she's like, well, why? And that's when the game theory of what you were talking about with picking a really high seeded team to be upset earlier in the tournament, whether they actually, hopefully that they do, but a team that you think there's high exposure to, whether it's you're getting that from just hearing about things. I know there are different projections. ESPN will put like the percentage of teams that make it through round 1 or round 2, taking them to lose earlier than you might actually think they do, certainly works in your favor because you then continue to gain points while everyone else in your bracket is stuck with Gonzaga going to the Elite Eight when they lose in the round of 32.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is the Oklahoma-Mizzou game is probably the only one of the top games that we just didn't touch on because I just have no idea. I think Mizzou's going to Mizzou, and just the no line movement shows a lot where they don't respect Mizzou.
I have it I think of it in a very similar vein as the Wisconsin-North Carolina game. It's just like either of those two teams could win, and I wouldn't be surprised either way. One team could win by 15 points, and I wouldn't totally be shocked. And it could be a rock fight that goes into double overtime, and I would not be shocked by that either.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think that really wraps it up for today. We got some good interaction, so thank you for that.
Yep, absolutely. Perhaps we'll be back, say, Sunday morning or something for see if we can get into round of 32, depending upon when lines come out and everything of that nature. So perhaps we will be back again.
Ooh, we got one last
oh.
one. Love it. So, Chuck, I really appreciate you always commenting in. The one wild card, you're right up my vein with this one. So, are we talking ones that we believe in or ones that we kind of want to get wild in? Because I'm going to fill up my bracket where I went off the hip. I mean, I've talked about Winthrop enough. I think that's one team that if Baylor does get out early, Winthrop could be one to look at to get extremely far, just because I like the way that team's built. They're 22-1 for a reason. Your other wild card that you could get there is, I think, UNC Greensboro. Even though this team fouls a decent amount, if they do get past Florida State and they do end up drawing Georgetown and UNCG, I think, are almost not mirror images of each other. But that's where I think, because that's where UNCG, if they get, they just have to hope LSU gets Michigan, because if UNCG doesn't get there, but if they do end up drawing LSU, I think UNCG would be the second team I'd put my money behind.
Mine to go all the way to Final Four. I mean, they're a wild card in that they are ranked 10th, but in my mind and my heart, they're ranked number 1. Virginia Tech. That is a team that I have in a lot of my brackets making a deep run. The path that they would need to take, I think, is amongst the easier of possibilities. Whereas if you look at a team like Iowa's the number 1 seed, and they're going to have one of the hardest games come if they end up matching. Where is that one? They would match against Gonzaga come the Elite 8. So that one is Virginia Tech is one that I have. I also have St. Bonaventure's. If they're able to take out LSU, I think they have a clear path at least to the Sweet 16 before competition gets tough again. So I have Virginia Tech would be my number 1, and then St. Bonaventure number 2.
Chuck went with Texas. I didn't know we were allowed to talk 3 seeds in this one. That Texas is definitely I guess they're a good wild card because their odds to make the Final Four, which is this question, they're above like +5 or 600. So I guess you can call that a little bit of a longer shot. But yeah, that bottom of the bracket, if you want to talk me into Texas or Maryland, I would like either of those 2 teams because Alabama, they just need one poor game. Sure, they showed it against LSU and Tennessee that they can recover from poor shooting games and still pull it out, but they're the highest variability team in the tourney. So that's kind of where Texas or Maryland are 2 teams. Sadly, UConn falls into it because I don't think they want to get into a scoring fight with Bama because I think Bama would run them out of the gym. So that's where I like Maryland and Texas. I do think they match up well against Bama.
Yeah, I have Texas going to the Final Four, and one of the brackets I've already completed. So I'm right there with you, Chuck. That's everything for today. So thank you for everyone who joined in. We appreciate all the feedback. We appreciate the interactions. It was fun. Just a quick reminder, join our ESPN Bracket Challenge. If you do a search on the app for the breakdowns '*S space TC, you'll find our Bracket Challenge. Up to 5 entries, chance to win a $100 prize, and a free t-shirt from our TeePublic store. Please follow us along on Twitter and social media, as we'll be posting clips and highlights and stuff and plays throughout. So at @breakdown_sports on Facebook, The Breakdown, and on Instagram, _breakdown. Rex, you got any parting words before we sign off?
How do you feel about your Iowa future from preseason?
I would have liked it if they didn't end up in the region they were in.
The plus, what was it, 2,000 you got though?
2,200. So great number. Love it. I mean, considering they're 1 seed, 2 seed. What are they? 2, yeah. Straight through to the Sweet 16. And then I'm going to try to, use some divine intervention to get Creighton to win over Gonzaga. That way I really like my Iowa over Creighton play there. So But yeah, I mean, considering I only put out one future, it was kind of just a spur of the moment thing. I was looking at it, seemed like the odds were too high. This is before around the same time they were getting a lot of buzz. It's just shop around when whether you're looking at futures, game lines right now, they're all pretty static. But if you're looking at futures, always shop around. Check out, see what type of different books have Sweet 16 bets, teams to win their region. Do the math like Rex and I kind of talked about. Just find where you can gain some edges. You can always go ahead and hedge out. You can find other ways to double down and even get more down. So that's it for today's stream. Going to go ahead and sign off. A little over an hour, so appreciate everyone for tuning in with us. This was episode number 20 of Pick and Troll. Rex and I will aim to be back on Sunday, depending upon when we get lines up and what time on Sunday and Monday games are slated to begin.
Yes, sir. See you then.
Peace.